Well, good morning, one and all, from around the globe as we now enter into round two territory of the Euroformula Open Championship of 2025. And now, as we do turn here in 2025 to the circuit of SPA-FRANCORCHAMPS, legendary as a track in the Hall Age of Motorsport, of course, home to the Belgian Grand Prix in the realms of Formula One, where obviously various drivers across this grid are going to be looking to push their careers towards. But in recent times, after closing out business at Portimao, Yevon David was the story, was he not? 3 podiums in 3, with 2 wins to boot in race 2 and race 3, and looking to do the same again as we once again venture with a 12-car grid to take us through this session. My name is George Morgan, and returning to the commentary box to this wonderful series, it's the one, the only Ewan Dunlop. Welcome, Ewan.
Thank you, George. I feel incredibly lucky. I mean, I've not been here first time this year, and to start it off at Spa, it's the mecca of motorsport. And I mean, the weather's not as good as yesterday, but we turned up yesterday afternoon, and it was just glorious. If you're a motorsport fan, walking down the gates, down the slope into the sort of Eau Rouge window, it is just absolutely breathtaking. But here we are then with the Euroformula, 3 races this week, and we have 3 at Portimao, as George mentioned. Yevon David making the old sports bar in Colombo go wild back in Sri Lanka. 3rd place in race number 1, followed by 2 wins. Michael Shin, he is going to be desperate for a win this weekend. 3 second places in 3 different ways in Portimao. It was a sensational watch, but also one to keep your eye on if this is your first weekend watching Euroformula this year. Timothy Kahacek, he potentially, you could argue that he could have won 2 races last weekend out as well, not 2 weekends ago, last round out. In terms of a weekend in full, there was red flags, safety cars, sorry. There were some false starts. Everything happened. The full bingo card of Euroformula happened in Portimao. So hopefully a little bit more order this weekend, but no less excitement.
Yeah, no, it's going to be very exciting. Obviously, we speak about Timothy Kahacek, of course, Timothy Kahacek. He, of course, comes into this weekend with 2 fastest times in free practice. FP1 setting a 2:12.155 with, of course, BVM Racing behind him for this season. FP2, he managed to do the same with a 2:10.444. So he comes in rude form, rude health as well, looking ahead to this weekend, and he has been working on those practice starts as well in preparation for this one. Obviously, a different car, brand new car. We're in the Dallara 324 chassis this time around, as opposed to the Dallara 320 that we have evolved, and of course the Toms supported TGE 3.3 engine as well. It's going to be a truly glorious expedition as we make our way around this Stavelot circuit. We're in the woods, the forests, of course, of the Ardennes, as we now watch the drivers look to get those tyres warm. That Pirelli rubber that is, of course, a softer compound for this season, and the drivers now having to manage it all the more through the course of the weekend in a bid to pull off the best results possible. And looking throughout this grid, Timothy Kahacek is that driver looking for the top results. Yet to take a first race win just yet, but he has had a P3. His last outing back at Portimao wasn't bad at all, but he would have expected more, having gone fastest in qualifying in our last round. As we now take a look at the 69 belonging to Finn Green, who had no pre-season testing action coming into this season, was very unwell, wasn't able to undertake winter testing, but since coming through free practice, some very improved lap times coming in, so perhaps a new breath of fresh air for young Finley Green.
I mean, from 12 months ago, there was 7 or 8 cars on the grid. This makes it feel like a really... It's always been a strong championship, but much more competitive now. Very much looking forward to the next 3 races over the next couple of days. But just going back to those tyres, George, a couple of weekends ago, Portimao, it was very much a tyre management set of races. And looking at the forecast coming into this weekend with the heat in Portimao, but here it was meant to be 24, 25 degrees. I can tell you for absolute certainty, it is not 24 degrees right now. Very chilly walking into the area this morning. It is up to about 10.5 degrees air temp, track temp 18 degrees. So maybe we can keep those tyres going a little bit longer, and it'll be more tactical racing rather than, okay, what are my tyres doing? We we did see, I think it was Michael Sheen in Portimao, tyres just start to fall away at the end of one of those races. Ed Pearson, as George just mentioned, getting his first win last weekend. I keep saying last weekend, last round, 2 weekends ago. So Ed Pearson, a win in race number 1, a third place and then a 9th. Didn't get away off the start too well, which was a story that we won't focus on too much. As George has said, they've been practicing those starts, because in total, I think there were 7 drivers across the 3 races didn't manage to get away. So hopefully not too much of that this weekend. Concentrate on those 19 turns around this 7 kilometres of SPA-FRANCORCHAMPS.
Yeah, well, now riding on board with Ed Pearson as he looks to fly uphill through Eau Rouge and Radion in a very familiar British-style helmet, of course, red, blue, as he now looks to light up the Eau Rouge and Radion section coming up through towards Camel Straight. Now, Ed Pearson opening up his account this season in the very first race of the championship this year with a victory, and then also closing things out with a P3 and a fastest lap in race 2. His comments, his words coming out of that very first race in his Parc Ferme interview with Alfredo Filipponi was that Nielsen Racing are a little bit more than just competitive. They are a team looking for the big plays, the big results. He feels at home now with Nielsen Racing, and we welcome them with open arms in this championship as well, as they now descend down through towards Rivage, before then undertaking a trip through towards Jackie X corner in this next left-hander. Such a beautiful shot to watch this with the side halo cam as he now commits fully, heading downhill through towards Pouhon. He needs, obviously, a decent lap here, Ewan. It could well be defining in the course of his championship.
I mean, Nielsen, first single-seater season, but we all know the history of them. It was an absolutely statement win a couple of weekends ago from Ed Pearson, and they'll be looking to do not just the same again, possibly go even better. I must say, this view is absolutely incredible. We all know Spa, we've seen the footage on the Grand Prix, etc., but to see an entire lap from within the headset of one of our drivers is just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely stellar indeed, as we now watch as Ed Pearson now makes his way out of Corbeil-Porfrère. Obviously still warming up those tyres, so you can just see there a little bit of wheel play. Obviously, it does take a little while for those tyres to get to that just right point where you can then attack the lap times as Vladislav Ryabov pops into first fastest, registering at 2:15.213, and that is more in line with what we expect to see from faster laps, so we are still quite a ways off. Like I said, through the course of free practice, the fastest time was set by Timek Kaharchik of a 2:10.444. So do expect those times to be around that realm, though bear in mind it was a lot warmer through the course of free practice yesterday. We are still very much in the early hours of the morning as Timek Kaharchik also crosses the line ahead of Ed Pearson as well. Well, Timek's still in the pits as it stands, but Ed Pearson crosses the line registering at 2:25. Still a little bit of a ways off from where we'd expect the times to be. But now as we get down into an orderly fashion, we've still got 11 minutes and 40 on the clock, and plenty of cars jostling for position. We just see in the background there, just weaving, Fernando Barrichello. We welcome him back to the series as well in the very familiar green livery that we, of course, witnessed for the first time back at Portimao, as he now exits out of turn 1 and through up towards Eau Rouge and Radion. And I'm sure Rubens Barrichello will be in his corner supporting him this weekend. Of course, the driver who came third in last year's championship with 1 win and 5 podiums. The 1 win coming back at Red Bull Ring, where he pulled off a Herculean drive to bring the car home in the wet, and I'm sure a very fond memory that he will be foremost enjoying. Now, whilst Rubens wasn't there for that one, he of course was tuning in from home as well, and I'm sure absolutely delighted to see his son improving, and it certainly was a statement of improvement last year as he made his way from round 1 to the final round at Monza last year. Here comes Vladislav Ryabov, and as you can see, the track's really started to heat up. Plenty of time being gained here by Ryabov, who still holds the fastest lap so far, and BVM's Giuseppe Mazzotti, I'm sure, is going to be absolutely excited by his current driver pairing. We did, of course, see Ryabov last season competing with the Motor Park team, now coming in with BVM this time around, and coupled with Timek Kaharchik. I'm sure they'd love to say stop the count, because they've got 2 of their cars currently sat in the top 2 places, but this is a trend that could yet continue as Ryabov comes across the line, and that's again more in line, 2:11.685. Still a little bit of a ways off from our fastest free practice time setup, but Ryabov fully adjusted, and I'm sure very much won with the car.
We are halfway into this qualifying session, and we are now fully, really underway. Tyres are heated up. drivers are all queued in, and I think we're going to start seeing a few more flying laps coming round. So we'll keep our eyes on the leader right now. It was 3 purple sectors for Ryabov. That 2:11, as George mentioned, though, we know we can go a fairly bit quicker. And then currently, Paolo Brajnik, the Gold Cup driver, in a 2:17. That won't last in second place, but nice to see him up there, the pole.
Yeah, welcoming him back into Gold Cup class again this season. Of course, featured back in our last round back at Portimao. Did have a retirement in race 1, but also finished the race in race 2. Of course, taking the first Gold Cup victory this season. Of course, we are expecting perhaps appearances from Roman Rubicek as well. So I'm sure he'll be looking to feature as well in Gold Cup class this season, is the Czech. But Vladislav Ryabov, once again, purple in the first sector, 54 thousandths improvement coming out of sector 1 with a 38.749. And there'll be plenty of others looking to improve. Personal bests being lit up across the board at the moment. Paolo Brajnik certainly won't be second for too much longer. The gap currently between himself and Ryabov currently standing at 5.4 seconds. Vladislav Ryabov, the only one, though, at the moment, ushering in the purple sector times, and that is a grand old improvement in the middle with a time that sits with 7.5 tenths plus improvement on the delta, heading down in towards Blanchimont. This next left-hander. Of course, many of these drivers are going to follow in the footsteps of Brad Benavides from last season, who went on to win twice here, with Gerard G coming home in first back in race 3. But Brad Benavides, since signing back into the realms of the Formula 1 feeder series. So now watch as Ryabov makes his way up towards the line. First fastest, once again, confirming that spot. That's a 1:10.930. Again, mere tenths off from the fastest times that we have seen through the course of the weekend, around half a second off the best that we have seen in free practice set by Timur Kaharczyk. As we now watch as the 2:12 of Paolo Brajnik for NV Racing now flies through the final quarters. They're going to improve on already the 2:17.174 that he had set prior. Has registered 2 personal bests already. Very much off the pace, though, in comparison to Vladislav Ryabov, but more to be earned. But hold the phone now as yet more drivers look to enter the fold. We've got Yevon David, the Sri Lankan superstar, now back again with a purple first sector. So that is underwriting Vladislav Ryabov's first sector time. But hold the phone, Ryabov's taking it back.
Ryabov has now had 7 consecutive purple sectors. Yes, everybody else on track is not quite up to speed yet, but we'll keep our eye on that. Yevon David, 1.3 over 0.13 over the current fastest purple. Coming into a bit of traffic now as well. Now, this is a 7-kilometre track with 12 cars on. You should be able to find plenty of space, but maybe using a little bit of a slipstream there. The Sri Lankan. David, 0.8 purple in sector number 2. About 25 seconds left of his lap, goes to the outside. This is not a race, by the way, this is just qualifying. But he is using every bit of slipstream that he can. He's going to get caught up there. That is not going to be advantageous at all as they come in towards the chicane. And that might just ruin that lap for him. Let's wait and see. Oh, he's really slowed down.
That was a little bit of traffic there from Finn Green, that was actually coming through the final sector. But let's see how the times fare. Everett Stack now moving to the top. Pops himself ahead of Vladislav Ryabov. Ed Pearson now third fastest. We've got Timur Kaharczyk fourth. Now Yevon David's lap that obviously was a grand degree faster on this occasion. Now only sees himself landing in 7th quickest as it stands, and also based on the last sector time of a 37.961, quite a degree slower in comparison to Diego de la Torre's last sector time, as Ryabov goes back to the top and registers a time that goes beyond half a second quicker than Everett Stack. But we're still not quite as fast as FP2. There is more time in this, and Ed Pearson has found it in the middle sector as well, a 57.092 to go purple in the middle, as the Nielsen Racing driver now flies down through towards the bus stop chicane. Currently 27,000 still, though, off the back of Ryabov. Despite going purple in the middle, needs a mean final sector to register himself faster than Ryabov this time around, as the young Brit pops into second fastest, just higher than Everett Stack. 43 thousandths now between Ps 1 and 2.
Now, a story we had last weekend as well. Track lap times deleted, plenty of them already. Car 212, that is Paolo Brajnik, and also car 24, which is Ed Pearson. 1 lap deleted, but right up there in second place right now. Yevon David, can he get a full flying lap in this time? Goes purple in sector number 1. Was that disrupted as he entered the chicane on his previous lap time? Slowed right down, give it another go. Going to come through sector 2 very shortly.
Made quite the statement at Monza, did this young man, Yevon David, of course, back in the last round of 2024, taking 2 wins and 3 podiums in total, and that podium run is still continuing right now. Up to this point, 6 out of 6 races that he has had in the Euroformula Open as of now have resulted in podium finishes. He has got an untouched record, an unblemished record. Barrichello pops into 3rd fastest now as we get more drivers crossing the line. Michael Shin pops into the top now. Jose Garfias, though, immediately stomps to the top with Yevon David now just under 0.2 of a second off the pace in 2nd place as well. Still holds the purple first sector, but it's Jose Garfias now, the Mexican, with a double purple display in sectors 2 and 3 that has granted him a 2:09, and I can tell you now, folks, that we have well and truly smashed FP2's time. We're now into the 2:09s for the first time this weekend, and it's Jose Garfias in control at the moment.
We are still waiting for a real flying lap from Timika Harcek. He got the fastest lap time in Portimao. We were expecting more of the same because he was flying around that circuit. Just some instances at the starts of those races meant he didn't get as many points as he might have anticipated. He is currently only 9th fastest with a 2:15, 5 seconds off the pace. You've got to imagine that will change shortly. Ed Pearson just set the fastest speed trap time of 257.7 kilometers an hour. There is so much time around this track where it is pedal to the metal, absolutely flat out. Garfias, David and Shin, your top 3 right now. 3 minutes of qualifying remaining only.
Yeah, coming down to the nitty-gritty now. This is where every single moment, every single movement out on track is key. And as you can see, as the 99 belonging to our current P1 sitter, Jose Garfias, looks to dodge and weave around the traffic. Yevon David, of course, looking to improve. We're just seeing him in the distance as well, looking for a nice clear run. He is currently up on his best time at the moment, a personal best in that first sector. It's Jose Garfias, though, with yet another purple first sector. Yevon David, though, with a vast improvement in the middle, and goes purple with a 56.197. So looking to now usurp Jose Garfias and plant himself on the front row of the grid, and not only that, taking his first pole position of the season. Let's sit back and watch this unfold, folks. It's going to be a very, very exciting ending to this qualifying session, as now we watch as the 99 of Jose Garfias now sprints out of the final quarters, out of the bus stop chicane, up towards the line. Michael Shin, 2nd fastest now, as Yevon David immediately goes to the top. That is the first fastest time, and that is a time that extends to beyond 0.6 of a second. So we now venture into the 2:08s for the first time in this session. Jose Garfias now remaining in 2nd place. I can tell you that we did have a few time deletions over the last lap as well. Paolo Brajnik receiving a deletion at turn 10, and the car 69 belonging to Finn Green also getting a time deletion. Ed Pearson now pops into 9th fastest as a result of that deletion as well. So now Finn Green is planted to the back of the order now as we watch them come up through towards Lakecombe. There is Yevon David, the Sri Lankan superstar, whipping that tail out on that car. Was almost sideways in the Dallara 324, just screaming that Tom's TGE 3.3 engine around Malmedy, down through towards Rivage this time around. A minute left, squeaky bum time, and it's Yevon David purple again in the first sector.
Yeah, absolutely fine. Really found his feet now. 2 wins out last time in Portimao. Can he be only the 2nd man ever to get all 3 races in a Euroformula weekend? Purple sector through 1.1 of a second quicker than his own fastest time. Garfias, Shin and Stack. Timika Harcek only down in 5th place right now with a 2:10.125. The other place you kind of want to finish here is either 1st or 6th, because on the reverse grid for race number 3, 6th place will be pole. That is currently Diego Della Torre with a 2:10.2, and we are into the last 30 seconds. If they can get over the finish line, one more lap, of course. Yevon David not so great in the 2nd sector.
No, not quite so good. Obviously, that's where things get rather technical here in SPA-FRANCORCHAMPS. 56.613 certainly does not deliver an improvement for Yevon David. But Jose Garfias is finding improvements, however, personal bests in the 1st and 2nd sector, but still a little ways off from where Yevon David sits at the moment as Everett Stack comes across the line, and he will complete his timer ticks to 0. Michael Shin back in a second. Garfield still second fastest. David across the line. Currently our provisional pole sitter at the moment. Sean Rashid pops into 9th fastest, with Ed Pearson now dropping down to 10th. We've got more cars now about to come through, as well as now many of them beckon their way into the pits. But we do have personal bests in the first sector for Vladislav Ryabov, who has also managed to muscle in at 38.5 in the first and a 57.082 in the middle. Now there's Diego de la Torre, who is still very much on a flying lap, and he is green in the first sector as well. Now bear in mind, he is just on the cusp of breaking inside the top 3. Will be starting on the second row of the grid ahead of race 1. Should it end like this, as now Fernando Barrichello pops into 5th fastest. So we've got David, Garfius, Shin, Stack, Ryabov, Rashid, Pearson and Green all taking the checkered flag. They will not complete any additional laps. They will come straight in the pits, but Diego de la Torre looking to bring about what could be a sensational finish to his session. Green in that first sector by just over a 10th outside of the spectrum of Yevon David at the moment, but it is still green nonetheless. Timet Kaharchik also on a fast run, has lost a little bit of time in the first sector. 56.6 though in the middle is certainly not bad at all. There is the Sri Lankan Yevon David, currently sat waiting to be told obviously whether he is going to be our pole sitter. It looks like he will be, unless Diego de la Torre can do something really special. At the moment, Diego de la Torre, based on the last lap, only a few thousandths outside of the realm of where David was in the middle sector. Let's see where he ends up now as he cruises up towards the bus stop chicane. Not an improvement in the middle, unfortunately, for the Mexican, but now sprinting up towards the line. What's the last sector going to deliver as he takes the checkered flag? Diego de la Torre, it is a personal best, but will remain 4th fastest, the Mexican. It is Yevon David on pole ahead of our very first Spa race coming up later on this afternoon.
Well, great session. Maybe not what we expected in some cases, but Yevon David is going to be on pole position for our first race of this weekend. Jose Garfias for the Team Motorpark. Teammates will take 1 and 2 in the car 99. 6 cars going sub 2:10. Diego de la Torre, Timet Kaharchik and Fernando Barrichello take 6th place. He'll be on the pole position for race number 3, followed by the American Everett Stack for Team Motorpark in the rookie class alongside Yevon David. And then the back row, going to be Paolo Brashnik and Finn Green. Never quite got going up to the speed required. Finn Green never actually getting a proper racing lap in there with a 2:52. We'll see more from him in the race, absolutely certainly.
Yeah, Finn Green, a bit unfortunate they're not able to register that faster lap time or get anything that's necessarily qualifying impactful, but we'll wait and see what he can deliver during the course of the race. There is, of course, Jose Garfias, or Michael Shin, I should say, who was certainly fighting over the top 2 places. Unfortunately, 3rd fastest for him, but we'll start on the second row of the grid. Jose Garfias is in front of him, but we can head down for an interview with Yevon David with Alfredo.
Yevon David, pole position here at Spa. That was really a last-minute effort.
Yeah, it was an amazing effort. First pole in Euroformula, so super happy. Second round of the season, and we're pole position for the first race, so looking forward to it. This track is very easy to overtake, so there's a lot of opportunities, but really good execution by me and the team. Really happy with the result.
You're right, but Spa is always a Spa with not warm weather this morning.
Yeah, you know, it's Spa. Anything can happen. It could be wet, it could be dry. It was cold this morning, but I'm really looking forward to it.
How you see things for later?
Sorry?
How do you see things for later?
Well, later we got 1 race today, and we're starting pole position. I'll try to get the gap as much as possible at the start and then just pull away from there. And then we got 2 races tomorrow to have some fun.
Well done for now.
Thank you.
All the best.
Well, wonderful indeed from Yevon David. First pole from him, but we can look ahead to this afternoon. Join us for race 1 here on Saturday.